Okay, so again, y'all don't have a book, but I will give y'all books eventually. I'm on my way to getting as much books as needed. But we are gonna look at pictures and maps and charts and graphs. Okay, I told you we were not gonna do this map on the 13 colonies. You will see 2 other maps later. What we are looking at here is the Chesapeake Bay. And you were going to have to locate it because I wanted you to know that Maryland and Maryland and Virginia are the Chesapeake colonies. We're not doing this map, so you don't have to identify it, but I have to point it out. They both have different motives for colonization. Originally, the people coming to Virginia were coming to Jamestown to find what? Gold. John Rolfe said, hey guys, we're not going to find gold. They started planting what? However, Maryland originally was founded to do what? Refuge for who? Catholics. Did they stay religiously motivated? No, eventually they're going to start planting tobacco and they're going to be very similar to Virginia, except that they tolerate who? They tolerate Catholics and who else? Anybody who believes in the divinity of Jesus except who? Jews and atheists. Okay. We already talked about the natives. Why are our very rich trading with them? What are they trading? Furs. Okay. The Native Americans are going to run into which group of people moving out west? What were they on our social pyramid? Indentured servants who are trying to acquire land. Okay, this is actually, sorry, there's a delay. This is actually, I know it was a whole, very few seconds. But this was an advertisement in 1609. They're saying, come to Virginia, right? There's excellence, there's fame. Originally, what was the fame that they were hoping people would find?
Gold.
Gold, but that does change, okay? So if you wanted to do a poster for your colonial ad, that's perfectly fine. Okay. I want us to look at this chart. I want us to realize that originally all of these colonies, when they were founded, it was founded by a joint stock company, so that's a group of men. Then James Mason, a man and other men. Puritans, it's a group of men and women. Separatists, these are our pilgrims, right? Is a group of people finding this. Gorge, Baltimore, immigrants, all men are coming to find these colonies. Is that different than the Spanish and the French? Because they were founded by the crown, but I want us to look at the end. Is it men controlling it if it's royal? If it's a royal colony, who controls it? The king. So did they maintain their self-government? And it's because their self-government goes away why the revolution will happen in 1776. I kind of talked about this on the map I drew on the board. Why did they develop this line between Virginia and North Carolina and South Carolina and North Carolina? Who were they trying to keep in? Squatters. Who were meddlesome, who were getting issues with what groups of people? The natives. And we know South Carolina was a very rich colony because what did it produce for export? Sugar, rice. For the Barbados that had sugar. And Virginia, tobacco. Georgia was founded as a philanthropist, a colony for what type of people? Criminals, right? He's the hug a thug, James Oglethorpe. He's trying to bring these people over so they have a second chance in life. And these are just the bone houses of that time. I'm going to skip through New England. We're going to come back and look at those later. Y'all did this last year, right? Mm-hmm. Y'all remember this because y'all did that map where we made you outline all the people who left. Y'all hated us. Sorry. I don't even think I was here when y'all did that map. Sorry for y'all that had to do it without me. Hey, this is just rice cultivation. I want y'all to look. Many people don't know how laborsome rice cultivation is, but can y'all see in this picture all of those slaves that they have there tending to the land? Because you must move the water around to be able to cultivate the field. So this is why they brought in the slaves from the Barbados. Okay, I want you to talk to your partner about what people came to the South, from Maryland down, what types of people, what ethnic groups came to this area. I guess y'all are silently talking. You're sending your messages via. How many groups did y'all see?
7.
Just from Maryland down. Alright, so let's count them. What is the yellow group? English. What is the blue group? African. What is this red group? What is this green group? Scott Irish. Okay, and then what's the other group I'm missing? The Germans. Okay, so who do you think were the latecomers to colonization? The Germans, the Scott Irish, because they're out in the frontier, right?
Yes.
So they're going to have the most problems with what groups of people? Natives. Okay, so then most of the slaves and whites are on the coast. Is it that the slaves are they own the plantations? No, they're working. They were transported here. So this is our most stratified area where we have the haves and the have-nots. We have the very rich English, right, who are able to cash in on the head right system, who are able to bring slaves over. And then this other have-not groups over here who came in late that weren't able to obtain that. So this is a very stratified society. I could look at New England. What only ethnic group do I see in New England? English. This is the most homogeneous. And we're going to talk more about that on Thursday. Why was it only one group that went here? So looking at this, by the Revolution, most of our people in the colonies are what? But can you tell that some other groups are not English groups that migrated here that are upset about the rules that are being imposed on them? I know y'all talked about the Middle Passage and slave trade, so I'm skipping over that. Right. Y'all have the Barbados slave codes. We know that the slaves are being brought because of their expertise in rice, and also their immunities to malaria have been built up. But again, the advertisements are there to bring people, the advertisements to the Carolinas. So the Barbados and the Carolinas are going to be very rich, and they're going to have strong ties with each other. I want you and your partner to look at the southern colonies, and there's other things beyond tobacco that's being produced here. I want you and your partner to to talk to each other about the other items that are being produced in the South. Okay, so what were the obvious ones that we could see? Tobacco and what else? Rice. Okay, what were some other things that we didn't know that they developed in this area? Shipbuilding, lumber, what else? Naval stores, okay. I want you to look at that proclamation line. And that proclamation line is the mountains. Who's out there by those mountains? So what are they specializing in? Furs. Okay. And it's going to be different in each area what they do. I know y'all did this map last year again, but just again, specialization happened because of mercantilism. We know that New England created all of the manufactured goods, right? That came down to Africa, and the slaves were brought across the Atlantic in the Middle Passage. But it's the fact that the colonies produced all the raw materials and could not industrialize is going to be one of the reasons why they will revolt in 1776. But it's stemming from 1754 and on. Okay? What is the main religion in the colonies? Oh, hey, you're like, I've never heard of that church. Have you ever heard of the Puritans? That's what that church is. Okay, the next one is Anglicans. Have you ever heard of the Protestant church? That's what that church refers to. Okay, I want us to look regionally right here. Tell me what church dominates the South. What church dominates the South? Anglican. This is why we did our regions, right? Anglican, which means what? Protestants. Okay, which one dominates New England? Which means what? Puritan. And in the middle?
It's religion.
Yeah, it doesn't have a defined religion, and when we get to the middle, we'll explain why they don't take on one religion. Alright. We're going to look at this list. It says Harvard, William and Mary College, Yale, Princeton, Pennsylvania, Columbia, Brown, Rutgers, Dartmouth. What do y'all know these schools as? The Ivy Leagues. They're very prestigious schools today, right? That are for doctors, lawyers, and the best, right? But back then, what did I tell you Harvard was for? Ministers. So look, Harvard was created for the Congregationalist Church to develop Puritan ministers. William and Mary was for the Anglican Church to get ministers. Yale was for what church? Which is what? Puritan. Princeton, Presbyterian. Pennsylvania, it says non-sectarian. Do y'all know what that means? Non-denominational. Columbia, Anglican. That was for the Protestant. Brown, Baptist. And then Rutgers, Dutch Reform, and Dartmouth, the Puritans. All of these Ivy League schools were originally created by religions to educate who? Their ministers. I think that was the last one I was going to focus on because the rest is New England. What we're going to look at now, I'm going to close my thing, is we're going to look at our last document. Not this. Okay, I want you to take out your document analysis sheet. Okay, so on the top of this, it says name the document. The name of the document is Bacon's Manifesto. That's all you have to do, Bacon's Manifesto. You don't need to say justifying his rebellion against Virginia Governor Berkeley. So one of the things is we have to summarize the document. Are we allowed to quote?
No.
Okay. So what does it mean to justify? Prove right. Explain, right? So he's explaining to Governor Berkeley. Okay, he says, we cannot in our hearts find one single spot of rebellion or treason, or that we have in any manner aimed at subverting the settled government. What is Bacon saying in his own words for that one little sentence? Don't copy it all down. What is he saying? Bacon is saying what about his rebellion? He's not doing any wrong. Is this really a rebellion?
No.
No, he says there's no one single spot of rebellion or treason. So Bacon's saying his rebellion is not a what? Rebellion. First thing, Bacon's saying it's not a rebellion. Okay, let's read the next one. So Bacon's saying he's not having a rebellion. That's his first rebuttal. Just like when you get in trouble with your parents and like, what were you doing? And they say what you were doing. I wasn't doing that, right? Have you all ever had that line with your parents when you get caught doing something? I don't know. You just normally get caught and say, yeah, I did it. Okay? A lot of us have that bad habit when you're doing something and your parents catch you doing it. You're like, I wasn't doing that. And this is exactly what Bacon's doing. He says, all the people and all the places where we have yet can attest to our civil, quiet, and peaceable behavior far different than that of a rebellion. So he's saying again, I am not having a what? What are my people? The people who are protesting are calm. So he's saying it's not a rebellion. It's like a peaceful protest, right? So he says it's not a rebellion. We're having a peaceful protest. Okay, is this his point of view? This is definitely his point of view, right? What do you think the rich people are saying?
The rebellion.
It's a rebellion, tyranny, right? So, y'all got, Bacon says it's not a rebellion, they're a peaceful protest. Have we put it in our own words? Did I quote the document? It says, let us truth be bold and where the world know the real foundations of our pretended guilt. It says, okay, look, this is what the world needs to know. They say we're guilty, here it is. He says, let's it trace to the men in authority and favor to whose hands dispensation of the country's wealth has been committed. He's saying the fault is now to the men who give the money, right? Who controls the money? This House of Burgesses, he says it's their fault. Why would he be blaming them? What has the House of Burgesses not done to help him? Help him against the Indians. He's saying it's their fault. To the people we give the money, have they even heard us? No. He's blaming the House of Burgesses, the government, because the government has not listened to him. Is this document a little bit harder than what we saw last time? Just a little bit, right? He says, let us observe their sudden rise of their estates, compared with the quality which they first entered this country. He says most of those people who are very rich, when they entered this country, were they rich? No, they were all what? Indentured servants or second and third and fourth born sons that didn't have what? Money. Let us also consider whether any public works for our safety and defense. Has there been anything for public safety and their defense? Because they went up there to the House of Burgesses asking for help to protect them from who?
Natives.
The natives. And did they do anything? No. I'm going to skip that line. He says, now let us compare the things together with what sponges have sucked up the public treasury, and whether or not be privately contrived a way for unworthy favorites. The juggling parasites whose tottering fortunes have been repaired and supported by the public charge. So he says the government didn't help us with money, but who is the government helping with money?
The natives.
The natives and the rich. So Bacon is saying that is his rebellion a rebellion? No. And the reason why they have to peacefully protest is because did the rich want to help them? Okay, so we talked about historical situation. We could talk about Nathaniel Bacon's rebellion, right? The encroaching of their lands. Who do you think his intended audience is?
Other people like him.
Is it really other people like him?
Just like the House of Burgesses.
It's probably the House of Burgesses, right? He's trying to explain to them, hey, look at what's happened. His point of view. Who do you think his point of view represents? The planter oligarchy or those former indentured servants? Former indentured servants. What is his purpose? What do you think his purpose is?
Well, it says he's justifying, so he's proving.
He's trying to set the record clear, right? How do y'all feel about this document analysis? This one was a little bit more difficult, right? Does this deal with belief systems? Does this deal with America and the world? Geography and environment? Politics and power? Yes. Identity. There's different classes. Is this peopling, movement and migration? Is this the economy? What are our strongest categories? Politics and power, and what else? The economy. Again,